welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Tom Griffiths. He's the founder of Synergy CFO Solutions, and he helps small business owners grow and make it a more profitable business so that they can achieve their personal and professional goals. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you, AJ. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome to the show, Tom. You're welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe, a lot of small businesses across the globe can benefit from what we'll be talking about. We're talking about mastering small business finances. Before we come to that, let's understand first a bit about you, Tom, so that people know who exactly is Tom Griffiths, what's his background, so that they have a better idea who they are learning from.
Yeah, thanks. So essentially, I help businesses understand their finances so they can make better decisions and improve their profits and cash flow. So my background is in finance. I worked in banking for 7 or 8 years. I then left. I wanted to basically do my own thing and kind of live and work remotely for a while. And whilst running my own business in that period, I actually had people in my network, kind of old friends mostly, reach out to me and ask them for help with their business finances. Some specific things like planning to sell, fundraising, mergers and acquisitions, but others who just wanted help with what I would consider the basics. So keeping the business healthy, knowing how to understand what's going on inside the business and what to do to improve profits and cash flow. And so I realized there must be a lot of other business owners in the same situation, because every business essentially has to do a few things successfully. Otherwise, they just won't be around for long. So one of those things is generate a profit, and the other is generate positive cash flow. And many business owners are not focusing on these two outcomes, partly because they may not realize that that's what they need to do, and partly because they may not know how to do it. So they may be doing really well in sales, and they may always be busy, but at the end of the day, if they're not making a profit and they have very little to show for it, then it's kind of not really worth it. So this was stuff that kind of came quite naturally to me, and I'd acquired over the years, the skills, and I already did it in my business. So I thought I could make a really big difference by helping other business owners with this type of thing. And so I wanted to create a business with a very specific vision. And so it's essentially to give small business owners access to the same type of resources that larger business owners have access to when it comes to financial support and guidance.
Absolutely. So, Tom, to understand, small business owners, you said they can take care of sales, they can take care of anything else, but their mind is not much always on profits as well as the positive cash flow. Why is it so? Is it because of their background? Is it because of their mindset? How does it work? Because without profit, how will you run your business?
Yeah, so I just so I understand, I heard you correctly. Did you say what is the difference between profits and cash flow, essentially?
Yeah, because these are the most important things. Why are they not able to put their mind and as much as it is required on these topics, these things, rather than looking at other things which are important, but this is which will challenge your existence if you don't look at these things.
Yeah. So I think there are a few reasons for that. So firstly, I'll explain kind of the difference between profits and cash flow. So for example, I actually had one client who at the end of last year, he said to me, his wife said to him, "Oh, how much money did you make this year in the business?" And he said, "I don't know, because the profit and loss says that we made a really good profit, but actually there's no cash in the bank account. So we can't keep any money because there's no cash to take out." So profits and cash flow are not the same thing. And I'll give you an example of how. Let's say you're a plumbing business, and you go to a restaurant and you do a job in the restaurant, and you charge the restaurant 10K. You then have to pay your plumber, which costs 5K, and then you have to pay other bits and pieces, and that costs a couple of K. So you're left with 3K. But then what you have to, so that's your profit. You made 3K on paper. But then what you didn't account for is that actually in that same period, one of your vehicles broke and you had to pay to repair it, and that cost 3K. So that's the cash that you had left over gone. And then a few months later, you find out that the client can't actually pay you. So actually, you end up losing all the money that you put into that job in the first place. So profits and cash flow are different. But I think the problem that most business owners have starts with not understanding or reviewing their numbers. And then the downstream effect is not knowing what to do next to actually improve the profits and cash flow, so improving the numbers. Because everyone knows how much is in their bank account, and that's usually what drives their gut feeling of kind of how things are going. So based on that, they often think they know what's going on in the business. Are we busy? Can we make payroll? But it's that mindset that kind of keeps them stuck in a job that they own instead of a business that runs healthily and produces consistent profits and cash flow. So they're stuck in the business and not working on it. And that strategy where you just base your decisions based on your gut feeling is what I call the hope and pray strategy. So essentially, it means not reviewing the numbers and understanding them, meaning that you don't know where you are in relation to your goals. And when you don't know where you are, you're basically driving blind, and you're not tracking towards anything. But on the other hand, reviewing the numbers regularly, it means you know where you are. You can keep moving in the right direction, and the right direction being a business that produces consistent profits and cash flow, so that you can achieve your personal and professional goals. Okay, so what
Right.
am I? Yeah, I mean that's
Very good.
I just gave. But ultimately, you need to get your business running with the objective and outcome of producing consistent profits and cash flow. And to get a business doing that, there are certain steps that need to be taken. But like I said, many businesses don't know what those steps are, and they don't necessarily want to take those steps because they're not the steps that they're good at, and not why they started their business in the first place. Because most business owners have a craft. Like a plumber starts a plumbing business, a doctor starts a doctor practice, a doctor surgery, a dentist starts a dental practice. A builder starts a construction business, and they don't necessarily know or understand how to run the business aspect of the business, but that is ultimately what they have to learn or have someone help them how to do in order to have a successful growing business.
Right, Tom. So we'll come to those steps that they need to take. But before that, is it that the small business owners, many are not from the finance background, and they come from other backgrounds which they are very good at. So there's a certain, hesitancy to look at numbers the way a person like you will look at, and they keep on, uh, that they will always be able to do it, get the right kind of person to do it, and it never happens the way it should happen. Is it the problem? Then they should look at outsourcing it from the very beginning, or they get the right. So, or the person they are hired may uh, not be as good as their business needs it to be. Help us understand. Is it because of that, or is it because of any other reason?
So I think the reason is pretty much in line with what I said, in that they have a craft that they're good at, and they go into business wanting to focus on their craft because that's what they're good at, and that's why they started their businesses, so they can do more of their craft and do more of what they love. But then inadvertently they get into the business and they realize that they have to learn how to run a business. And in order to run a successful business over the long term, you have to understand how to improve profits and cash flow, and how to have a profitable, successful business or growing business. And some business owners learn how to do it, or they get help, but others don't. And the ones that don't end up stuck in the business because they're focused on their craft and not on working on improving the key metrics of the business. And so that's kind of the cycle that a lot of business owners get stuck in. Whereas what needs to happen is they need to kind of step out of the business and look at it from a strategic perspective, look at what is driving the business, and then understand what they need to focus on over the next 30, 60, 90 days so that they can improve profits and cash flow. So, yeah.
Right, Tom. So, apart from this, are there other common mistakes that they may be doing or making, but they are not aware of such things? If you can enumerate more of these, so that they people who maybe listening to it or watching it right now, they can, know more about these things and take remedial measures.
Yeah. So the most common mistakes that I see, they all boil down to the business owner being stuck in the business and not working on it. Um, but the symptoms are generally getting distracted by shiny objects, seeing the next big thing that they can spend or invest money on, spending too much, not really measuring where they are. Going back to the points that I raised earlier, not really understanding where the money is coming from in their business. So breaking it down by products, which products are actually generating which amounts of profits that contribute to the total number. Not knowing how much you make on each client or each sale, so not knowing how much profit you're making on each sale, and then not knowing how much profit is actually turning into cash. So, for example, you make $1,000 sale, 200 that might be profit, but if you never collect that money from the client, then you actually end up losing money. So collecting the cash is vital, and you've got to know how much cash, how much cash you're not actually collecting, so that you know kind of where you are. The other thing is no systems and processes. Business owner trying to do everything, focusing on the wrong things. So to overcome these things, it's pretty much the same solution. Step one is to become aware of what the problems are, and then step two is to take small actions and build little by little to make progress in the direction that you want to go.
Right, right. So are these the steps, these two steps you said, this is what they can do or should do, or are there other things that they should do for getting their business become more profitable and full of cash flow?
So yeah, I can run through what I would recommend any business
Yes,
owner can do today to give themselves a good start. So the starting point is to know your numbers. Okay, so there's a book called Financial Intelligence for Entrepreneurs. It's by Joe Knight. It breaks down the numbers really clearly, makes everything easy to understand. So I'd recommend that to anyone. Most people are intimidated by the finances, and they shouldn't be. The income statement is just income or revenue, which is what you make, minus your expenses, which is what you spend, and then it shows you your profit, which is what's left over, and that's it. So what I think anyone can do today is go on to their accounting software, or hopefully you don't use an Excel spreadsheet, but if you do, then go onto your Excel spreadsheet. Pull your income statement, which is your profit and loss, for the last 24 months, broken down month by month. And then just look at how each number has changed month on month and notice any trends. Okay. So then look at all your expense lines. So your expenses are going to be broken down into lots of different categories. So you might have marketing, general admin, subscriptions, whatever. So turn those numbers into a percentage of your sales, percentage of revenue. Okay. And then you can look at how those numbers month on month have changed as a percentage of revenue. Okay. So for example, if payroll as a percentage of sales has increased, like in January, let's say it was 5, but then this month it's increased to 8. Well, that could indicate something that you're not aware of. That might make sense, and you might know that, oh, you've hired a few more people, and they haven't delivered on generating more revenue yet. So revenue, payroll as a percentage of revenue has gone up. On the other hand, it could be a red flag. You might not have been aware of it, but it's much easier to identify that red flag when you've got the number as a percentage instead of a dollar number. So go through all the expense lines and work out what the trends are, what's changing month on month. And essentially, if you repeat that process every month, you're already going to be better, or you're already going to be in a better position than most business owners. So essentially, pretty much what we do for our clients is that process where we get clear on exactly where the business is at the moment. We help the business owner understand what's working and what's not working. Okay. And then we propose corrective actions so that they know exactly what to do about it in order to improve profits and cash flow so they can have a growing and successful business. And so whether we help our clients with it or whether they do it themselves, like the process is exactly the same.
Right, Tom. So when do they know that they can do it themselves, or they need Tom Griffiths to help them? Because many a times you will think, okay, everything is going fine. My internal people are doing a good job. My accounts is doing a good job, but they themselves may not be capable of reading between the lines or reading between the numbers, and suddenly there will be a sort of a jolt. So how does uh, it work? What is the best strategy then for them?
Yeah. So what I would say is everyone's got an accountant or a bookkeeper, or most do have an accountant or a bookkeeper. But an accountant or a bookkeeper, they are backwards looking. So they're actually looking at what happened in the past. And they'll help you stay compliant. They'll help you pay your taxes. But very often, by the time you speak to your accountant, the numbers that they're looking at are going to be 4 or 5 months out of date. And so they're not a good indication of where you are at the moment. Sometimes the accountant or the bookkeeper will send the business owner accounts every month that they can look at. But if the business owner doesn't understand those accounts, then it's not really worth looking at. So that's what I would say about accountants or bookkeepers. What I will say is that there are lots of accountants and bookkeepers that do help their business owners know where they are at the moment and then understand kind of what's going on. But that's not the norm. So in terms of whether you can do it yourself, I would recommend the exercise that I just kind of went through. And if that's like trying to understand another language, then I would recommend that you get some help, whether it's from me or from anyone else. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that you're getting support in understanding where you are as a business now, and you're going to repeat that process every month. And then you're also going to get clear on what's actually driving the business. So there are 16 drivers of profits and cash flow of any business. Doesn't matter what type of business it is or how big or small it is. And I'm going to give away that report so you can have a look at that. So what needs to happen is you need to apply those 16 drivers to your business and understand where your business is at in relation to those 16 drivers. And then based on that, what can you do over the next 30 days to improve one of those drivers by the most amount that will result in the biggest increase in profits and cash flow? And essentially, it's just a case of repeating that process every month. And by doing that, what happens is you remove yourself from being stuck in the business and you are focused on the most important thing to actually improve your profits and cash flow every month. And when you repeat that process every month over the course of years, and you are tracking everything in the right direction, you end up actually achieving your goals and why you started the business in the first place, whether that be selling the business, keeping it and just working less, or whatever the goal is.
Right, Tom. Now let's understand about your company, Synergy CFO Solutions. Where does this CFO thing? Is it fractional CFO, or do you do that, or is it much more of a company to company sort of a work that you do?
Yeah, there are lots of different phrases for it. Some people call it a financial guide. Some people call it fractional CFO, virtual CFO, outsourced CFO. It depends on which definition you look at as to which it is. But essentially, what we do is we meet with our clients once or twice a month. We give them unlimited support outside those calls, and we go through that 3-step process, like I said. So we help them understand exactly what's going on, what's happened each month, what's working and not working. We analyze the business's strengths and weaknesses every month, and then we propose corrective actions so that the business owner knows what they need to do in the next 30 days to improve profits and cash flow. So, yeah, I mean, I would call it a financial guide, just to not get mixed up with any of the jargon, but other people might call it a fractional CFO. Yeah.
Right. And how much time do you people generally engage with a client? How much time does it take, or it is for a long duration?
Yeah, so it really varies depending on what the client needs and how much help they need. So some clients will just meet with for an hour a month. Other clients will meet 2 or 3 times a month, and then they'll be asking us questions all the time. So we're available, and the most important thing that they know is that we are there to support them with the finances. Most business owners don't have anyone to speak to about the finances. They've never really spoken to anyone about how they're going to use the business to actually achieve their goals, and so that's what we are, a bit like financial therapists to the business owner.
Right. And how much is online? Means if someone say from my part of the world, from India, if someone wants to take your expertise, is it possible for them to do so?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. So what I would say is the amount that we charge, it does vary depending on exactly what we're going to do for each client. So what I would say is I'm going to, there's no kind of attempt to sell anyone here. You're going to have access to my 16 drivers, which is a report that outlines the 16 drivers of any business. I then offer webinars every month. So I can send you the details of a webinar. If you want to join the webinar, great. And the next step, if anyone does want to kind of move to the next step, would be to have a quick call with me. That would just be a 15-minute call, work out if we're a good fit for each other, work out if there's a potential opportunity for us to partner. And then if that makes sense, then I'll do a financial assessment. Again, that would be free as well. And then if that all makes sense, then we would talk about kind of the investment and what that looks like. And of course, given what we're doing, the potential return or the potential increase in profits and cash flow that any client's going to make significantly would dwarf our fees. Yeah.
Wonderful. So for all those people who would like to, know more about you, learn more from you, know about your webinars, connect with you for professional, connect, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah. So I will. You'll have the link to my 16 drivers. So it's just a landing page. If you go on there, submit your email, and we'll send you the report straight away. So you can do that. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, drop me a message or a connection request, and then you'll be able to find my email address and stuff on there as well if you want to reach out to me directly.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live.
Great. Thank you, AJ. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful.